Just quickly before we start the show, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's supporting the channel on PayPal or on Patreon. This is just a small channel just starting out, so it really, really makes a difference. Thank you so much. And if you can, maybe just throw in a few bucks a month or just on PayPal, it will really mean everything, because a lot of the videos that I do get demonetized because they go against the corporate narrative. We're talking about sensitive issues, whether it's international politics or it's just domestic stuff in the US. So it really makes a difference. And if you can support the show, especially because we're starting out, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. In the lead up to the Iowa caucus, which is right around the corner now, something very interesting is happening. Joe Biden is getting slammed by other candidates for his record on Social Security. Okay, so even though Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders had that little spat, she's a snake and she betrayed him, they're still actually focused on Joe Biden, it would seem, on the campaign trail, which is a good thing. They shouldn't be focusing on each other. That's one of my complaints during the debates last week, is that instead of focusing on Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren attacked Bernie Sanders and she let Joe Biden escape without a scratch, which is not good. You're sabotaging the progressive movement by doing that. So let's take a look at the article here, all right? Elizabeth Warren hit Joe Biden for his past stances on changing Social Security and expressed solidarity with Bernie Sanders on the issue as the two liberal senators seek to move past their recent feud. Liberal? Yeah, Bernie Sanders is not a liberal. He's a lefty. But anyway, Bernie Sanders and I established the Expand Social Security Caucus in the Senate, Warren said in a quick interview in Iowa. As a senator, Joe Biden had a very different position on Social Security, and I think everyone's records on Social Security are important in this election. Warren's comments come as Sanders has been relentlessly bashing Biden for his past openness to freezing cost of living spikes or raising the retirement age as part of a larger bipartisan deals, proposals that Sanders opposed during his time in Congress. So you see the reason why this is important. It's because if you look at every candidate's base, the people that Joe Biden appeals to the most are older voters, okay? Bernie Sanders, who is actually older than Biden, has way more support, has the most support from young people, okay? But with Joe Biden, it's the opposite. And a lot of older people are on Social Security. They care about their pensions. They care about their future, don't they? So you need to highlight the fact that Joe Biden has been trying to cut Social Security for his entire career. There are videos going back 30 years of him whining about it in Congress and even bragging to the Republicans that he wanted to cut everything. So we'll take a look at that in a second. But it's very important to highlight that. And that's what Bernie Sanders has been doing, and now Elizabeth Warren. You have to tell older voters that Joe Biden is going to screw them. He is not your friend if you're an older voter. I mean, he's nobody's friend, but he is definitely going to cut Social Security when he gets into office. And it's quite funny that he's trying to lie about it now. Biden's proposal on the campaign trail now calls for expanding Social Security, but that is a shift from his days in the Senate, when he and other moderate Democrats were open to reforms that would have cut the program in order to help balance the budget. The Biden campaign declined to comment. So you see here, Joe Biden is very scared, because when you bring up his record on virtually anything, he shits his pants. And it's very funny that all of a sudden when he's running for president, he suddenly has so much clarity. He seems to change from his positions that he's held for decades and decades. That's very interesting, isn't it? So all of a sudden now he's saying that, no, even though I said that in the past, don't bring that up. That's unfair because now I want to expand Social Security. Yeah, okay. We totally believe you, dude. Sanders and top campaign aides have been aggressively trying to draw that contrast in recent days. I think anyone who looks at the vice president's record understands that time after time after time, Joe has talked about the need to cut Social Security, Sanders said. Bernie's campaign manager, Faiz Shakir, was more pointed, issuing a statement that Biden should be honest with voters and stop trying to doctor his own public record of consistently and repeatedly trying to cut Social Security. That's what I love about Faiz Shakir. He never holds back. When you see him going on CNN or when he's giving statements, he doesn't hold back as much as Bernie Sanders. He just fires away. He's like, yo, cut the bullshit, Joe. Okay, stop trying to lie about your own record. Be honest with voters. I'd like to see a little more of that from Bernie. Biden initially resisted responding to the attacks until Saturday when he accused Sanders' campaign of pushing a doctored video of him talking about supporting Paul Ryan's Social Security cuts. Yeah, okay. Here's the issue. When you've been saying the same shit for 30 years, that's not an attack to bring that up. That's just your record. That's on you. Okay? If you've been saying that over and over and over again for 30 years, I mean, Sanders tried to argue Sunday that the 2018 video was distracting from the larger disagreement between the two that stretched decades in Congress. I think there was a focus on one particular video, Sanders told the Washington Post. We should have the whole context. Exactly. So Joe Biden is trying to claim that, oh, this video that you put out from me talking in 2018, it's doctored. Dude, no one gives a flying crap about one video from 2018. Again, this is an issue of you saying the stuff for decades. It's not just one video. But because Joe Biden doesn't want people to know that, he's only going to focus on the one thing he has to maybe make himself look good and defend himself. He's claiming that, oh, this video is doctored from 2018. Dude, no one doctored the video, first of all. That's a lie. But again, the context matters. Your entire career, you've been saying this shit. Joe Biden is really abysmal when you look at his record on virtually anything. It's really bad. Warren's comments come hours after she seemed to shy away from a fight with Biden, merely pointing to her own plan to increase monthly payments by $200 and telling reporters, I think everyone's record on Social Security is important. Those comments are in line with her usual strategy of not directly criticizing other Democrats. Really? Yeah, that's not what happened the last week with Bernie Sanders, okay? She threw him under the bus, and that's putting it lightly. Just before she got in a van with campaign aides Sunday, she said, I am clear where I am on this, and I think everyone's records should be examined. So let's do that. Let's take a look at Joe Biden telling people how he wants to cut Social Security across many, many instances in the Senate.
I introduced the budget freeze years ago. The liberals in my party said, it's an awful thing you're doing, Joe. You are all the programs we care about. You're freezing them. Money for the blind, the disabled, education, and so on. And my argument then is the one I make now, which is the strongest, most compelling reason to be for this amendment or an amendment. And that is that if we don't do that, all the things I care most about are going to be gone. I mean, whatever happened to that old conservative discipline about paying for what you spend? I'm up for re-election this year, and I'm going to remind everybody what I did at home, which is going to cost me politically. When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time. Somebody has to tell me in here how we're going to do this hard work without dealing with any of those. I introduced the balanced budget amendment in 1984. It got nowhere. I'm one of those Democrats who voted for the constitutional amendment to balance the budget. I have introduced on four occasions, entire plans to balance the budget, knowing I'm not president and I'm not the leader, but for illustrative purposes. I tried with Senator Grassley back in the 80s to freeze all government spending, including Social Security, including everything. The American people know we have to fix Social Security. They know we can't grow our way to a solution. They know we're going to have to make some tough decisions. They're ready to make these decisions. They're ready to step up. We have to be ready to straightforwardly tell them what we're about to do. As I go around the country like other candidates, whether I'm in Oxford, Mississippi, or Bangor, Maine, it doesn't matter. The one criticism our party gets from Democrats is we tend to be too timid. It's almost like we're afraid to tell the American people the unvarnished truth. Well, folks, they're waiting for the truth.
So you see, it's very concerning how animate and adamant he is about cutting Social Security. You'd think that he wakes up in the morning and it's the first thing on his mind. You know, it's really telling of what Joe Biden is made of. And it's quite funny watching him try to deny that. It begs the question, why are you even running then? Because clearly this is an unfavorable position to hold. Okay? People have had enough of this shit. The party itself is shifting already because of Bernie Sanders' seismic movements. So people are obviously not on board with what you're trying to represent. So why are you lying about that? I know why, because you're just power hungry and you're just in it for yourself and your rich buddies and the establishment to maintain the status quo. That's what it's about. He's not actually running to help people out. Do you understand the fundamental difference here? It's a fundamental, enormous difference. Bernie Sanders is running to make people's lives better. This guy is running because he's power hungry. Okay? Because he's a tool of the establishment to make sure that things don't change and they stay the way they are, so profits can continue being made off of the backs of poor people. We can make cuts to Social Security, screw over the elderly and the poor as usual. Okay? It's really funny that on almost every issue, Joe Biden always has to lie about his own record. Oh no, I never said that. Oh no, I never did that. No, everything you've done is wrong. You suck on the issue of marijuana legalization. You voted for every war. You never met a war you didn't like. Okay? You've been trying to cut Social Security for decades. You're just out of touch, man. You're so out of touch with what the party needs, with what the country needs at the moment. Forget it. So I really hope that this guy does not win the nomination, because I can guarantee you Donald Trump is not going to hold back. He is definitely going to bring up Joe Biden's record and he's going to clobber him over the head with it, just like he's doing already with this whole Ukraine scandal. You ain't seen nothing yet. And when that happens, there is no way in hell Joe Biden is winning. Is going to be another 4 years with that orange clown because of him, because of Joe Biden and the DNC pulling their same old garbage of pushing a status quo establishment candidate down people's throats. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to come down to. And I hope Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren keep on attacking him. I hope all the candidates keep on attacking him. The little fish need to go after the big one. It's like a bunch of velociraptors going after the T-Rex. You understand? Although Joe Biden isn't really a T-Rex, but he is in the eyes of the mainstream. So it has to be done. It's very easy to do as soon as you bring up his record. If you know any Joe Biden voters, especially elderly ones, you need to bring this to their attention that he's trying to cut Social Security and he's no friend of theirs. Okay? There you go.